What's up, everybody? Welcome to the channel. I am Grant Dahlstrom, and today I'm going to take you through my journey over the last couple of years as I stand right now as a 15, soon-to-be 16-year-old sports broadcaster. And a couple days ago, I had somebody ask to see some of my all-time favorite calls, and I decided to kind of mix those in with also me telling my story over these last couple of years. So I'm going to kind of try and fly through everywhere I've been since I started my broadcasting journey to where I am now. And a little background, I work for a company here in the Quad Cities in the Illinois-Iowa area called QC Sportsnet. I'll talk about in a little bit how I got hired with them. But it is online streaming, and then also for some hockey games, I'll be into a Flow Hockey subscription TV feed. So, some multifaceted experience, but let's get into where this all started. So, I'm going to start this story here in 2022, when I have always been a person who has loved watching sports, has liked playing sports, but knew I would never want to play sports professionally. So, I was looking for things to do in the sports area. And at one point in the summer of 2022, the Cubs and the Marquee Sports Network raised a contest for a junior sports broadcaster. So I was like, all right, I'll enter this. Probably not win, but could be some fun. It could be some fun talking over a cool Cubs moment. Well, I ended up winning. So then in September of 2022, I would go to Wrigley Field for a Cubs game. I would meet the on-air talent at Marquee Sports Network, see the production truck, be in the booth for part of the game. It was an awesome experience, and that started to get my brain going over the idea of broadcasting, because it was something that I had started thinking about and practicing about a little bit. So that's what led me to enter the contest in the first place. I happened to win, and I was super excited, had a great day. So I was starting to get pretty encouraged about the idea of being a broadcaster. Well, after that, they posted some things on their social media. They had some calls of mine. I also was active here on YouTube a couple of years ago, posting me talking over video games or real games, doing play-by-play. And so in the summer of 2023 then, I would get my first job offer from QC Sportsnet, our local online sports platform. They wanted me to do high school football games, play-by-play, and I met with my boss at a restaurant one day, said yes right there on the spot. He gave me the equipment training, the training of how to run everything, and I was set. I would be calling games that fall for my own high school. So I started week 1, went through week 9. It was a rough year for the team, but I think was a very good year for me to get experience. I went on some road trips with the team for the games, and I was 13 years old calling live events on the radio to a live audience, and that was good enough for me. I was exceptionally excited about that, and you'll hear one of my first ever football calls, so let's take a look at that right now.
A throw from Taylor to Ely out left. Ely down the sideline, across the 30, across the 20, breaks the tackle, and he's into the end zone for a Maroons touchdown.
My voice was definitely a lot higher back then, but I was having a lot of fun that season. And throughout this video, I'll sprinkle in some of my favorite calls from these seasons that I talk about I've had over the last couple of years. So expect a couple more of those cut-ins. But after football season was wrapped up, I had proposed the idea that I wanted to call some basketball games, some hockey games, because our network, QC Sportsnet, does local high school basketball games. We're also contracted to call all the home games for the Quad City Storm, which is a minor league SPHL hockey team here in the QC. So I would get the opportunity to do that. I started basketball season in late November. A couple weeks later, I would get the opportunity to do my first hockey broadcast with the Quad City Storm, and I was having a great time doing that, simultaneously doing basketball. So I was busy at 13. All that school was going on, but it was really enjoyable, and I had some opportunities to call some games like this between basketball and hockey.
Leaf Matson pulls up, centers Momot, scores! Abbey, left corner 3, no good, follow-up is good! buzzer! It's gonna count! We're going to overtime!
Schiavo on Latinovic. Speed's now slow. Schiavo for the win. Scores! 5-hole shootout winner!
So some pretty memorable moments for that first year. I got 2 to 3 months of football season that I would be in the basketball and hockey swing of things as a fill-in for the Storm. I wasn't doing all their home games. I was filling in what was good enough for me at 13. I was doing probably 2 or 3 games a week during basketball and hockey season with how many games that there were. So I was busy starting with football from, late August. And then hockey wrapped up. I got to call my first ever playoff hockey game in April. So about 3/4 of the year, I was calling games, having a blast doing so. A couple of really cool moments like the ones you heard just a few seconds ago. And that set up a summer where I was just anxiously waiting to get back into the football season. So I would have the opportunity again in the fall of 2024. I would get back with QC Sportsnet and get back with the Moline Maroons calling their football games. This season, they would go to the playoffs. I would call 10 of 11 games that season. And again, had a blast doing so. An excellent season for the team. I think I made some great growths that season. Got to see some new fields. Got to go on some longer road trips. And it was a really exceptional year in that football season in the fall of 2024. And it all kicked off with this overtime win, which I think was my favorite moment to that point that I had called in a football game. So let's listen in.
Snap! Good! Hold! Good! Ducey! Got it! Moline wins in overtime! And Nolan Ducey is being chased down the field. It's a mob of maroon at Browning Field. 41-40, the overtime final.
Again, that was in 2024, all part of a great football season. The 11 weeks of that was done, and then in November of 2024, I turned my attention back to filling in for the Storm games occasionally and doing basketball 2 to 3 times weekly. So again, I was doing those two at the same exact time from about November to March, April, once again. Called some epic Storm games as the Storm, over the last 3 years, they're now 20-1 in the games I've called, so you'll hear me say a lot of great moments with them. And so let's take a look at some of those from that 2024-25 season.
Alec Bear in on Brett Moran for the game. Bear to the slot. Moran stopped him, and the Storm win in a shootout.
Sam Matson, high slot. He drags. He shoots. He scores. Oh, what a bullet! Leif Matson on the power play has pulled the Storm back to the one. And then, of course, as I've said, basketball was going on the same time as most of those hockey games. So basketball that season, I also started to call a lot more basketball games more frequently, made a couple of road trips during this season, and again, saw some epic games.
Go! Brady Welch, Trey Taylor, goes to Freeman, to tie, he missed it, and the ball game is over! UT stuns Moline at Wharton.
So once everything wrapped up between hockey and basketball, that would have been the spring of 2024, or spring of 2025, I should say, when all that was said and done. So then we moved on into the summer again, and I got the opportunity this past summer in 2025 to go about 3 hours west to Des Moines, Iowa. And I went to a camp called Media Now. I got to meet Michael Admire, the voice of the Drake Bulldogs, for their men's basketball games and their football games for ESPN+. He taught our class over a 4-day camp on the campus of Drake. We everything about broadcasting, everything about his career. We got to do a mock press conference. We got to check out some behind-the-scenes things with the Iowa Cubs. It was a really cool experience. I got to make a nice connection with Michael Admire, and it was a really cool week, meeting some great people, making some friends who also want to go into a similar route of broadcasting as me. So had some great time there at Drake in Des Moines, and just a couple months later, I was jumping back into high school football, and this season, I think every season, you can see the pattern just getting better and better. This season, by far the best. It was the best team our school has had in quite some time, and it all ended in a playoff road trip where I got to go up to the Chicago area. Really cool environment, really entertaining game, but it was 11-week season. Again, I was there for 10 of the 11 games over the QC Sportsnet airwaves. And heck, let's give you 3 moments from this season because that's how awesome it was.
Shuckman, deep left, and it is intercepted! A juggling pick from the sophomore Alex Ocean! A highlight reel, INT! And Moline gets the football back with their first interception of the season. The Maroons, Mark Carey. The punt is blocked. It goes into the end zone. Keaton Shoulder falls on top of it, and it's a Moline touchdown. It's over. For the first time since 2022, Moline is back on top of the Western Big Six. 2025 Conference Champions. 35-0 the final over UT.
A lot of memories made during that 2025 football season. I got to spend a weekend in St. Louis because we were playing a team down in Missouri. So got to travel 4 hours down there, spend 3 days in St. Louis. That was great. Got to go on another long road trip down to Quincy, Illinois for a big game and a big upset win. And a big, well, maybe not an upset, but a big win regardless. And then, as I said, that playoff game in Chicago. We were all over the place this season, and it was a blast for the 10 games that I covered and the 11 games overall. One last thing I'll mention about that 2025, the most recent football season, is our network started pairing with the local TV stations to do weekly game previews and recaps on Wednesday nights at the TV station. So I was getting some weekly airtime, a couple minutes on the news, and then a full entire discussion that was posted on their website. So again, I was getting out there and I was doing something that I hadn't been comfortable entirely with before, sitting behind a desk talking in a back and forth discussion, kind of as an analyst, more than the play-by-play guy. But I really enjoyed it and got to do that every week during football season, and that would carry over into basketball season and hockey season, which is where I am now in the 2025, now 2026 basketball and hockey season. I started initially with the Quad City Storm and a couple of games in late November. I would do a couple games in December, have done a few games now in January. And the Storm, as I said, 20-1 in the games I've called over the last 3 years, filling in for them. So let's take a look at a moment from this most recent year.
The center, Matson for the empty net, he scores! 6-4 Storm, Matson, the sealer.
Hockey's probably been my favorite sport to call over these past couple of seasons. So it's been really enjoyable. And then the last thing that has gotten me where I am now, and something that I did a couple nights ago, we'll have a game tomorrow, we'll have a game in a couple days, and that is high school basketball.
Other last score as Johnson is into the front court, throws it up at the horn, it falls off, and UT has knocked off 6-0 Witch Woods, 63-53 on a Tuesday night of the Panther Den.
It is a grind with how many high school basketball games there is, doing 2, 3, 4 times games a week, and but I'm having a blast getting to prepare for these games, getting to go to these different gyms, see these different teams, follow these different teams, and again, for this basketball season, I'm also doing those TV previews on Wednesdays, getting experience in more ways than one, both analytically and as a play-by-play guy. So it's been a spectacular, I guess now 4 years. I have been doing live games for QC Sportsnet for the last 3 years, a couple months away from wrapping up Season 3 with the Storm and in high school basketball. But I'm really excited to see where this journey continues to take me. I'll have my first college visit to go to a broadcasting school in April. Really looking forward to that. And I'm really proud of how I have gotten to this point. And I hope that I can just continue to keep on building. So, again, I am Grant Dahlstrom, a 15-year-old sports broadcaster. I'll be 16 in a couple of weeks. But what a journey it's been to get to this point, going back ever since about 2022, 2023. Once again, I'm Grant Dahlstrom. Make sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram and subscribe here on YouTube and Grant the Broadcaster. So with that, I'd like to say thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed me sharing kind of my journey and getting to hear some of my favorite calls over the years. Again, thank you so much for watching and have a good one. Goodbye, everybody.